IVM.
If you're broke, if you need money, if you don't have a wallet, you don't have a financial portfolio, don't bother. There's no hope for you. Or is there? His name is Anupam Gupta. Paisa, Vaisa, but don't ask him for money. I asked, he gave me nothing. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Kripaya dhyan dijiye. The language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. Okay, time for our favorite show. Okay, perhaps only my favorite show, but it's called Cock and Bull. Before we get into it, time for me to do a real rant. I've decided after a lot of perusal and self-introspection that I've become a Republican. Now, you may ask, you're an Indian in India who can't vote anywhere else, but I think Republican is a generic term. And by that I mean I've gone right. And I've figured out the reason for this is the lockdown. It's made me into this kind of guy who hates my neighbors, hates urban middle class, hates what I feel is a sense of weakness in society. And so without getting religiously right, I have gone right. And people must understand when you go right, you don't have to go right with everything. You just go right with some sort of extremist viewpoint. And I've got that because now I hate my fellow citizens, especially from my class of society. I look down on them. I want to spit on them. I often want to hurt them. The other day, one lady looked at my dog and made some sounds and I was about to throttle her. Then I realized that I may not get away with what is not a crime in my book, but an act of civility and decency. So, I am a Republican. I will now not say anything bad about Republicans until I can either remove the Republicanness from this avatar that I've got, or whether I just embrace it. Time will tell. So keep listening to our podcast, which is called Cock and Bull. And for obvious reasons, the title really makes sense now.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Story Sellers for personal stories, analysis and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.
Okay, let's introduce our lovely group, our panel. We've got all the way from Nagpur, the Orange City, the direct descendant of Mr. Manohar, one-time head honcho of the ICC, Mr. Shreyas Manohar, who's not even a building society member in his own building society. But he's a great comedian and missing the work and the life in Mumbai, stuck in Nagpur. Also with us, Amit Doshi, who's told me off the record, he's woken up just 16 minutes before the podcast.
20 minutes.
Well, now it's 20, but
Yes.
it was 16 some time ago. So 4 minutes have passed since the conversation. Simple arithmetic. For a Parsi to correct a Gujarati on this is a shocking observation. Once again, showing how I have swung right and you Gujaratis are turning left, unfortunately or fortunately. And we've got Silverie from Powai, who's always looking happy ever since he left his parents' home to go and live with unknown person of unknown gender who gives him lots of happiness. All we know is that person originated in Indonesia and now lives with him 4 kilometers away from his family house in perfect sin as far as we are concerned. I speak from the right and the Republican point of view, because you should not have coitus with either gender before marriage and with only one gender after marriage as far as the right is concerned. But hello everybody, if I keep talking it'll be a monologue, so somebody's just for a minute, if you can cough and show that you're COVID positive, we can move on with this.
Yeah.
How
Cyrus, I think if you hate people who belong to your class and your status, I think you are more left than you think you are being. I think that's the opposite of right wing.
So I didn't go right.
You went left.
No, but I looked down.
left.
But I'm very aggressive now. You see, I have very bad thoughts in my head. And the thing is, if you read the Bible, I think somewhere it says, blessed are the weak. Or words to that effect, but that the weak are nice. And I just look down on people because I think they're just sissies now. And that can't be left. There has to be a right attitude, It's that macho cowboy attitude, that slightly militant, aggressive alpha male attitude that the Texan millionaires have when they, say we have to keep our guns, you cannot touch our guns, etc., etc. So I'm thinking I've gone into that narrow gully of disaster. And it's difficult to turn back because I just have terrible thoughts. I see Mr. Sharma walking with his mask and his gloves and sees the rain and rushes inside, thinking he'll die of pneumonia on top of COVID. And I just want to attack him, physically attack him. And I want to do it in a way where he suffers more than a COVID patch. I want him to suffer for hours. Like, I'll keep ranting while I strangle him. He'll be like, just strangle me, man, shut up. Something like that. So I don't know. Do you think I've gone left, Amit?
Well, I don't. So you use left and right in a very strange way, right? You use it in a non-political way. When again, now I've known you for a while, so I know that when you're saying left and right, you don't mean politically. You mean like basically people who understand people versus people who are determined to have their way through, right? When you say right, you mean the person who is like, do what I say.
Yeah,
and when you say left, you mean the more chilled kind of like, let people live and let live.
That's one way.
It's not a pure political stance. So I mean, like, yeah, in terms of your left to right equilibrium stance, yes, you absolutely are much more further right you are.
So non-politically, I've gone right. Yes. But politically, I remain left, according to Shreyas. This is so confusing. This is why Cock and Bull is the best podcast ever. Joe Rogan, eat your heart out. Yours is crap compared to what we do. What we do is the real thing. I mean, he just smiles and lets the guests rant a little bit, and then they talk about marijuana, which of course is a subject for another day. Silverie suddenly put his hand up. Yeah, I'd like to do a little study. Silverie, do you imbibe in narcotics? Now that your mother watches the show, I think we might as well get it all out.
Never. I would tawba. I would never do that.
So you know how to lie.
Also, I should specify, I'm in Bandra and not 4 kilometers away from my house. Just saying, Mom.
You're in Bandra?
I'm supposed to be in Bandra, yeah.
One second. So you're with the same personality that you were with last week, right?
No. If my mom hears, I'm in Bandra.
Oh.
Like that.
Okay, just like if your mom hears Toba, you don't do narcotics and all. Yeah, okay.
Exactly,
Fine. So we'll put a disclaimer under you. Everything that you say is, not to be taken seriously. Fair enough. Yeah. But Shreyas, how are you doing?
Good. I'm in Nagpur here, missing the Bandra life, missing the Mumbai life. And I live in a joint family, so it's with 11 other people. So I really have lost my sense of privacy here. Outside the door, there are 3 people who are going to be the first ones to listen to this podcast. So even if you are a paid IVM subscriber, guess what? My family is in a higher bracket than you are. Yeah, you like that? Oh yeah, they like that. I hear clapping from there.
See, that's a left philosophy. Now, hear my right philosophy. I also have 3 people outside the house, but they are creditors. You see, so it's totally different. Yours are just relatives. So, the world is looking, this is Rashomonic effect amongst all of us, how we look at the world from the COVID prison that we're stuck in still. Which reminds me, Amit and Silverie, what's our progress report? We've been doing this, 14 weeks now?
I think COVID, so. It's been, we're going into we're almost 4 months complete now, right?
Yeah.
March, April,
about
May,
10 days off.
June, yeah. No, so I mean, we shut office on the 18th. So I mean, like for us, 4 months will happen in 4 days.
Right.
So I mean,
so what's your take now? I mean, suddenly it's become so mundane. We're just not even thinking about it that much.
No. I mean, you get tired of it, right? What are you gonna like? I mean, like honestly, I realized that I used to check that dashboard, right? The COVID India 19. Yeah, I used to check that obsessively, and now I'm like, I don't go to it like more than every couple of days. I'll go once in a while, just when somebody says something that, oh, did you know this was going on? And then I'm like, okay, let me go just find out what are the actual numbers now, But it's just. Yeah, you learn to live with stuff, right? Anything can become normalized.
I'm still going mad answering the same question because my mother is the most paranoid person that I know nearby. And she goes on about, I brought my aunt home after 4 months and she normally spends the night on the weekend. But my mom said, please, I don't want her here in the night and all that. So I tried to explain to her that if you spend 8 hours of the day together, you'll get the COVID anyway. Right. You don't have to wait for the extra 8 hours of sleep that will, transfer it. But she's really worried because she came up with but there are 26,000 new infections. And this is the normal conversation you have with, Mom, please don't watch this, moronic people. All right? Because moronic people just throw this number at you. Nobody thinks about like you said, the entire data thing is the anecdote. It's just 26,000. But how many are recovering? What is the mortality rate? How are you dealing with it? What should, I mean, there's just always one perspective is just like a math score. Yeah. And that math score alone can't
numbers
define.
Are not good right now. I mean, like, there was a point in, June where it felt like things were going in the right direction. And I think we've gone past that now, where numbers are again not looking good, right? Because we are seeing like really, really, really big rises across the country, and it's not just like the hotspots are expanding, right? Like Bombay actually
Or
seems to
rather,
be.
new spots are coming.
So Bombay is actually less than Thane is now, right? I mean, like that is
But don't panic. Not real estate value. We're still okay. Because you say
yes,
this,
yes.
if somebody puts on the podcast at this point or just gets this bit, they have a heart attack.
That would be
मेरा
scary.
5
That's
घर
true.
South Mumbai में.
That definitely would be scary, but it is kind of surprising to me that I mean, like Thane is now outstripped Mumbai, and by not like a little bit, right? I mean, like it's like almost 1.5 times the number of active cases.
And for
So,
the Parsis listening, don't be insensitive and call it Thane. It's not Thane. It's Thane. The two syllables that have to be separated. Yeah.
but like Mumbai is very much kind of Mumbai seems to be coming somewhat under control, right? Even though we had
Also,
high-profile cases, but
I don't want to say this like it's a class thing. Again, don't jump on my throat. But is it possible that here we are saying everybody self isolate as much as possible? Only the flat or the house is being sort of segregated
right.
as before the entire lane, etc. I mean, in the beginning they put 4 buildings. Remember 4 buildings in Malba Hill for
Yeah,
one
yeah.
building in the middle which had it. And I'm sure from Powai downwards it's all the same in Mumbai. But now I think with middle class Mumbai, they're being a little more flexible, but they're not being flexible with other areas. So it's almost, I don't want to say, but is it possibly a classy, I don't know, pressure on
I
the.
don't know, right? I mean, like, because again, I'm just looking. I just opened the dashboard because, as I said, I'm not looking at numbers all the time, right? I'm looking at this right now, and in Maharashtra, Mumbai has 22,000 active cases, Thane has 34,000, and Pune has 22,000, right? So, I mean, like,
Well, at one point, we were more than 60% in Mumbai alone of Maharashtra's cases.
we were 60% not of
So
Maharashtra. We were like half of India.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying there's sort of perspective, find perspective to feel
Yeah.
better. So what you're saying is Mumbai a little better, rest of India much worse. So the situation is the same because you can't
Pretty
really
much,
leave.
yeah. Because I mean, like overall, the numbers are growing at like what is like kind of a really really high rate, right? I mean, like 28,000 cases a day is a pretty big number, based on what we know, right, about this stuff. We're catching maybe 25% of the number of actual infections. Right. So, I mean, like, it is getting to the point where, I mean, like, we're officially going to be at 1 million infections fairly close soon. We'll
Silverie,
officially be at
I think we
25,000
have to
deaths
ban
fairly
Amit from
soon.
his own podcast. He's like the soothsayer of doom, and takes away all our energy and happiness. We started with the Nagpur Mumbai bashing. Now we are down to everybody thinking, how long before I die? And that's the last thing anyone would listen to a
That's
podcast
true.
in
I
July
don't think
this
we should
year.
listen to that. We should not be
Yeah.
there. We should not be thinking
But
of
but
that. You're right.
but give what about Nagpur? Yes, what's Nagpur like? I mean, we have
So
no idea.
Nagpur, what happens is they say that it's all under control, and then every week there is one party that happens that everyone comes to know about later that sprouts into like 500 more cases. But in Nagpur, actually, there's a very interesting battle being fought between the commissioner of Nagpur and the mayor of Nagpur. So apparently, the mayor of Nagpur, I won't say his name because I
Hey,
think he
one
might be
second.
outside the
You
door
say mayor
also.
of Nagpur, you might as well say his name.
Yes, Sandeep Joshi. That was the mayor of Nagpur.
Why did you mention
So,
mayor?
he's someone who's a family friend and who I respect and everything, but he's also supposed to be very corrupt.
One sec, edit that out, Silverie, the respect bit.
Yeah. And the rumor is that he has his hand in so many businesses and enterprises in Nagpur which are shut down because of the lockdown. So there has been like a sort of a battle between the commissioner and the mayor. And in Nagpur, they are so much more serious about containing areas. Like in Bombay, if a building is contained, all they do is they add a poster, right, which says that this is a containment area. In Nagpur, they coordinate off with like, I don't know.
And then they put up a music video as well.
But I think Bombay, we used to do the same thing, but now we've gotten a little kind of blasé about
No,
it.
but I want to
They used to
argue
do the same thing.
I want to play devil's advocate for Mr. Joshi, is it? For a second, the mayor.
Yeah.
Shreyas. So it's the same argument. Dude, let's not look at corrupt, finger in the pie and all that. The argument is the commercially minded vis-a-vis the for me, what I think is a psychologically devastated person who's so scared they can't think anywhere else.
Let's call it the public health minded.
Okay, the public, but that's giving it too much gravitas and credibility, which I don't believe in. I do think, it's also in the bureaucracy, in the police, in the BMC or the Nagpur Municipal Commissioner office and all that. It's a mixed bag of people with the same philosophical differences. So there's the commercially minded. Again, I'm saying don't get into the corruption or uncorruption. The point is he wants to make money, which I think is a good thing. Okay, really do. And there's those who just do not believe there's a chance. So it's just the negativity and cynicism of that group and the fear mongering, which at the end of the day if it's not going away, I can't see why you're not going forward anyway. It's like MacArthur, you're surrounded on all flanks and just go ahead, attack.
So the way I would look at that right now is there is so one of the challenges around this is hospital capacity, right? And that is the primary thing that I think is the reason why I'm still somewhat in support of this lockdown. It has to be managed much better than it has, right? Businesses have to be allowed to function in much more logical ways than they have been so far,
No, so
right?
you're not saying lockdown, you're saying structured lockdown. That's two
Structured
different
lockdown,
things.
exactly,
Because
yeah.
structured lockdown is a positive step to allow society to move.
Yeah.
While the comatose lockdown is like you could just suffocate everybody because we can't do anything, the disease will die on its own in 1 year.
I don't buy that at all because the deed ain't going anywhere, right? So I mean, like that, I'm not in this about. I understand the reason to kind of do this, but see, I mean, like the big failure in my mind is why are people in cities like Bombay and Delhi still are still struggling to find hospital beds? This just drives me insane, right? Because I mean, like, if I'm looking at Bombay's numbers right now, 22,000 active cases. That's a big number. Don't get me wrong, that's a big number, but that's not
And
an
as you
insane
say,
number.
and as you say, that may not be an accurate number. That's a possibly
reported.
30-40%.
But this counts everybody who's going to a hospital for sure, right? It might not count people who are sit at home or who are like self-treating or whatever, but it's counting everybody who's gone to a hospital.
And there are
So
enough who don't want to go to a hospital but should be in a
many,
hospital.
many, right? Because
And I'm
you don't
talking
want to.
about mental hospital here.
But my
Sorry to kill your drive. Go on.
yeah, no, sorry. My question is that why, with 22,000 cases, do we not have hospital beds at this point in time? Why are people having to run around all night to try and find it when the point of lockdown was supposed to be to build additional capacity? And 22,000 cases in Mumbai or 30-some thousand cases in Delhi are so within the parameters of what was
So,
expected that how have they not had this? How is this capacity not there?
And I think that was the original point of the lockdown, right? That it
yeah,
buys you time to
time
amp
to
up
arm
your
yourself.
healthcare to
Yourself.
ensure that
Yeah.
like you can cater to people who are in need. But I mean, I guess we are just buying time for I don't know what.
It's very similar. I'll give you a proper metaphor. Like when we were young and had even less money, to get drunk fast, we would have a beer mixed with vodka as much as we can, save our money, get drunk in 15-20 minutes, and then sort of just nurse a drink. So it's like that. You begin with a blitz and you get everything in order, and then you're ready to cope with the. But that's all in thinking. It doesn't happen in reality because also the growth of the disease was faster than they thought, perhaps. And the numbers in India are staggering in any case because we had just too many people. Since 1947, when the British left, I told them, take some Indians with you. But they took 20 Punjabis, 10 Gujaratis and went to London and started Southall. But this is all wrong. The thinking was wrong.
Can I just let me just interject that the numbers are not staggering. These are not unexpected numbers. Since we decided that this lockdown was going to happen, the fact that India was going to have a few million cases
Okay.
before the end of the year is not
Okay,
surprising to
by the way,
anybody.
Arvind Kejriwal says he's got enough beds for everybody in Delhi. He says Delhi's bed problem has been solved if you've been following the news.
Well,
So
I've been following
so
Twitter where I see people complaining about having to run around not finding beds.
yeah, but I'm saying I don't know now what the ground reality is because we're not really there.
Neither do I. I'm
So I
not there
can't tell
either.
you. But his claim is that it's not a question of beds. That so
Okay.
the government, from his perspective, I can't talk about Bombay and Maharashtra and all that. But in Delhi, he's saying that we have the supply is there now. Okay, supply is there. Demand has to come forward a
Yeah.
little bit because
But also the condition of these beds is not always great. They'll be like, I've heard that some people have to go
You
to
expect a
basements
partner.
under a hospital. They have like the basement, like total isolation. There is hardly anyone coming to come treat you. So that is also a problem.
But Antariksh, that is part of what this is, right? I mean, like when we're talking about beds, what we are creating is we're creating individual quarantine units. Most of COVID treatment is palliative. It's not active. You're
That's
not
what.
like,
Yeah.
you're not like doing active treatment for people. What you're doing is basically putting them in comfortable situations, giving them oxygen if necessary, monitoring them, checking their blood on a regular basis. So it's more kind of like palliative. It's not really like, you're not.
It's a bit like Siberia. The whole concept was the gulag and stuff. You just put them in the camp, and then hopefully, whether you see them or not is irrespective of the whole point of putting them. That's not even important at the moment. But they are secluded away from everybody else and kept there, and let's see what happens to them. I personally think that's a great thing to do with lots of people in your life. I mean, who couldn't make a list of people you'd want to put in really bad beds under bridges and say, don't worry, doctor will come. Doctor Aiga. And, whatever happens, happens. But coming back to the more serious point, do you think we have underperformed in terms of governmental infrastructure? Because that's not what they're saying. They're saying the fault is ours.
I think it's clear, right? I mean, like even if the Kejriwal is saying that he has solved the bed problem now, this was not too long ago. It was 2 weeks ago for sure, where I saw a long string of tweets from a lady who works in the healthcare space who was unable to find a bed for her father.
And this is a lady in Mumbai.
Delhi.
In Delhi.
In Delhi.
Okay,
but and anyway. in Mumbai, I know that there have been people who are having to go from hospital to hospital trying to figure out where to go. That also I know has happened over here. So I mean, like, I think there's no doubt that from a prep perspective, we're not where we need to be.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Shall we stop depressing people?
Yeah, I think so. I myself am feeling scared now. My conservative Republican mind is now changing again. I don't know what to do. And of course, my mother assures me that if I take the arsenic alb, I'll grow taller, if nothing else. She gives me these white pills every day. I'm just saying, after some time in India, people are driven by all kinds of things, It's not science and logic, that's for sure. It's by fear, by what they hear, by this herd mentality through WhatsApp. I mean, so, I don't know, it's all confusing. Where's the clear scientific sort of clinical thinking without emotion? This is what we should do or not do. That doesn't happen. It's now, and also everybody telling everybody else what to do. I think it's all custom made. Everybody's response to the disease is different. So you've got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like Shreyas, touch wood, you're looking healthier than you did in March when we had work. Now that you have less work, you seem happier, and maybe this is the thing for you.
I just think that being in Nagpur, there has been a cultural shift in how people think about Corona here, because I've been going on morning runs, right? I think that I'm bragging. Yeah, I go on a morning run at 6 a.m. And I think when I go, I just come across these characters. Like, I met a guy yesterday who was sprawled on this park bench, right? And he asked me, I was wearing a mask. He asked me, why the fuck are you wearing a mask? How old are you? I said, I'm 25. He said, you are so young, you ought to have immunity where if you eat rocks, you will shit out bricks. What's wrong with you?
Was he a builder? Like, maybe he wants you to.
I think so. I think everyone just wants to make ends meet. They're just trying for a way to make.
So that's another Republican. That gentleman you met is another right-wing sort of thinker like me. He's behaving like a cowboy. Why are you wearing a mask? Don't be a pansy. Take the mask off. Or he wanted your mask. That's the only thing I can think of.
But again, back to Amit's point, the mask is not for you. It's for so that you don't spread it to someone else. So in that regard, you're fine wearing a mask, I think.
Yeah. I'm thinking I'm going to get the Wonder Woman outfit and then wear a Batman mask. So that I get something out of this whole experience. Well, what to do? Dad was Batman, Mom was Wonder Woman. This is what I got. No superpowers, but they gave me the clothes. All right, Silverie, what's next?
Okay, let's get to our topics of today, guys. We got some really fun topics.
I think 20 minutes plus of just freewheeling and depression.
So I don't know if you guys heard this. There was this topic is promotion of Sony Live's web series Undekhi goes wrong and leaves Michael's outrage. Did you guys read this?
Yeah,
I got that call.
You can't do bakra in a sensitive time without getting some flack. It's like that. You want to do some.
You don't do bakra to like thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people at large. No, you do it to one person.
Yeah,
a prank is to one person. It's not like you don't prank a city.
Amit, one of my uncles was dying a few years ago, and I went to the hospital, and these ward boys and all tried to play this prank with me that he had already died. Because and they did it only, and then they took photos and all after that. But I had to keep a brave face and all, but it was really not a funny gag.
It's not, yeah.
But the intent was not to be insensitive. We just didn't think it through. And of course, subsequently he died after a month or two, but he wasn't in great shape. And so it was not a funny gag to do if you think it through, whatever your age is.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So similarly, I think in this case, they're pushing their promo out, but, they've got the mileage that they want. That's for sure. So I don't know, maybe it's successful.
Yeah, but I mean, like, nobody has positive feelings about this thing, right?
Shreyas, you got the call, you're saying?
Yeah, I got the call 4 times in a span of 2 days. So at the first call I got, it was at like 8:30 a.m. I woke up to that call. And on this call, this guy just goes, मैं यहाँ पे हूँ, यहाँ पे murder हो रहा है, मेरे को भी मार रहे हैं. And then there are like gunshots and screaming. And I mean, I wasn't even in a state to see who was calling. So I was obviously freaked out. And then this happened 3 times, 4 times again till I had to block all those numbers at all.
Did you just cut the call and go back to sleep? Like, who cares?
I mean, I true caller it and then it was like an ad. So, no, I think if I get a call from any number and they're talking about a murder, I can't go back to sleep. I mean, I have to check. I can't just ignore that.
No, so, but did they, in the call itself, did they identify it was a promo for the show?
At the end of the call. At the end of the call, they should actually put a disclaimer in the beginning.
But no, 1 second. Did they do it at the end or not?
They did.
Yeah, they did. But like after 50 seconds. So the first time I didn't even reach that part.
No, 1 sec. So if you cut the call, what happens?
Nothing.
You don't know.
You don't know. So
you're the insensitive asshole that cut the call on somebody who was getting murdered.
No, hello, Amit. Just fear. This is a society filled with fear. You hear a gunshot, whatever, balls. Just put the phone down. I can see that reaction from most people. How many people are going to say, "Arey beta, aur kya ho gaya?" How many goalies left?
aa raha hu. Wait for me.
Ready, steady, aim. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, guys, we're all in the comedy business, or at least on the fringe of it. We need to not overdo the attacking of these promo guys. I think this stupid idea, but I think the punishment should fit the crime. It's like that poor, what is that comedian's name? The female...
Agrima
Joshua.
Agrima, exactly.
Yeah. So let's just get into it right now. Did you guys hear about, did you both, Cyrus and Amit, hear about this?
Yeah, I heard about it. Saw the routine too.
But just to put it in perspective, 1 year ago or something was the...
Yeah, so Agrima Joshua, comedian, had put out a video in which basically like a 1 minute section of the video is a joke on Shivaji. It's not even making fun.
It's not a joke on Shivaji. It's a joke on Quora user.
Correct. A Quora user, she's literally reading out what was written on Quora. Someone, these right-wing trolls basically got a hold of this video, started sharing that 1 minute clip all over the internet, and then she started getting rape threats, death threats.
No, there's that one guy I saw some abusing and screaming.
Yeah.
I mean,
his name was Shubham Sharma, if I'm not wrong.
With a double A? I'm just taking it down.
And his handle on Instagram is Badass Shubham, and he posted it on Instagram. Luckily,
he posted a video on Instagram.
He posted a video on Instagram.
And it's in the public YouTube domain.
I know it's there, but I thought it would have been a Twitter or something like that, because Instagram, this is very much against terms of service, right? You don't abuse on Instagram.
But it's in Hindi.
I guess that's true.
So and then also the venue where this was shot, it was shot at the Habitat. I mean, a mob of 15 people went and they vandalized Habitat.
I know, it's not like they have enough trouble.
Yeah, exactly. There's video of these guys at Habitat.
I mean, how do you... I understand transverse property, I understand all kinds of transitional thought processes, but I mean, where do you end that? Should we attack her grandfather for marrying her grandmother and giving birth to her? I mean, what's the connection with anything sometimes,
Well,
I mean, the Habitat owner may have changed. Suppose, I mean, they would have done their homework. If he sold in December of last year and somebody else owns it, it's going to be a flash shop post-lockdown. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Can I tell you a quick story? We had a problem with another right-wing local group whose name I can't mention, but rhymes with Pena, and they basically came to the offices of Lokmat mostly because of the Marathi issue more than anything else, and also ours, but didn't really break anything in the main CNBC thing. And they came in and they started attacking people. The camera department in Lokmat was right at the bottom in a little basement, and so the cameramen locked themselves there with whatever. And one guy basically came in from that fringe group. He got in, so the cameraman locked him in with them and beat the crap out of him. Huh? It was amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And how quickly the shoe was on the other foot with this guy asking for please don't hit or whatever. So it's just a little sad that all this is happening because of testosterone, I think, being out of control and no work.
No, that's a big part of it. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. The actor Don Cheadle, right?
I love it.
Yeah, he's in everything, right? So he was on. I think
he's got this dignity about him, which not every male can carry off.
No, not at all. He's really, really good, right? And he's got like a ridiculous career, man. I was listening to the podcast and it all just kind of like, oh my God, he was in that and that and that and that and that. But so he was on the Larry Wilmore podcast, Black on the Air. Yeah. And they were talking about the riots and Black Lives Matter and all of that in the US, right? And one of the points they brought up is like, the reason why there was so much intensity around it this time. And I think this is the same thing. There's the same parallel over here for this Agrima Joshua issue, right? Is because we're all stuck.
Yeah.
We can't go anywhere. We're constantly in a shitty mood because we're scrolling social media and we're learning about all the shitty shit that's happening in the shitty world. Right? So we're all in constantly bad moods. And so basically when we see something like that, which is aggravating us, when there's a call to action on it, we're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and ultimately all this is just your boiling point, which is reached by so many different factors, especially for males. I think, when you land up fighting physically with someone or being really emotionally abusive, it's not that exact thing that was the real cause. It's just a catalyst. The real cause is God knows what. The way your father treated you for 20 years, your failure at work, your hair falling, your penis doesn't work. I don't know. There are all kinds of reasons. And then it comes out with just a simple fight with a person crossing the road or whatever. So it's the same thing.
I think the real cause is also politicians. This was instigated because there was this one Antariksh, do you know his name? This politician who dug up that video and posted saying that this needs to be acted upon. Basically, he was literally inciting violence.
But not the Deshmukh family for sure. They wouldn't do that.
Not the Deshmukh family, but it was an MLA.
I think it was an MNS. It was the Raj Thackeray party.
Yeah.
Which instigated this. I'm not 100% sure.
Which instigated the attack apparently on Habitat. But online, I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys followed this further, but Agrima was made to issue an apology by these goons at Habitat because they were breaking everything down. In the video, they are breaking tables and throwing chairs. They've broken down the Habitat sign. So very, very, very sad stuff.
So who pays for this vandalism in the end?
Yeah, so they'll be insured, but still, that's not the point of it, right? The point is not
I think for a rioter, if you catch them, they must pay every last rupee. Because I think nothing will cause... I frankly believe even in cricket and football, you find people properly and you see the difference. You want to change behavior, find them. Just find them properly. Forget jail. Fine him. Take all his money away so he has to come back as a stand-up comedian and realize what all of us go through. Because that's the only job available if you have no skills. Let him stand there and make jokes.
It honestly is
without historical figures, it's not easy. It's not easy.
But so I know Balraj, as I'm sure you guys both do as well, right? Because you guys both do perform there, right? But if you think about it, this is a guy who has basically been one of the strongest supporters of stand-up comedy in India.
Absolutely, without doubt.
He has turned his restaurant from so basically the Habitat and the upstairs piece that he has as well, right?
Above the Habitat.
Above the Habitat. Both of these were restaurant spaces. Instead, he's turned them into performance spaces. And now in this situation of COVID, where we don't know when we're going to have new forms of any kind of live entertainment, when that's going to happen, and he doesn't have restaurants anymore, right? So he doesn't have the food delivery and all that. No, there's no business, there's no income from that for him. And so I just feel like, man, how can people do this to other people, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's an economic crime. Also, an economic crime should be treated in that way.
Exactly. And also, what logic is there that you're going up to destroy the cafe where the comedian performed at? The cafe literally has no say as to what the comedian does.
I think it's not about the cafe. It's about the fact that the Habitat is known as the place where all this comedy occurs.
The Hyde Park of...
if you look online at your stand-up videos, you'll see the age on probably 70% of them.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right. And so, I think it has to do with that, right? It's more about let's get these guys so that they start putting pressure on the comedians to manage their content.
I think what this has done is that this has actually strengthened the comedy community. I've never seen the community come together as one to fight off these evils around them. So I think whatever they're expecting will happen to the comedy community, the exact opposite.
But so here's the thing though, Shreyas. It's great. It's fantastic. I love the fact that all of you guys are getting together around this. But the fact is that the comedy community is not as monolithic a community as
a
the
fringe
MNS
party.
or the right wing of that nature is, right?
If you take the heaviest comic, say Tanmay, and put him in front of Habitat, they'll still be able to push him aside and enter. So we just don't have enough people in your comedy community.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
You guys are not you're not gonna go violent, are you? You're not gonna go and start you're not gonna go around and start smacking people.
I may. I can't speak. I think Atul will also go. There are 2-3 who are waiting to explode. So let's just, that Lola Kutti lady also has a lot of aggression. Aditi Mittal, I've seen her throw a chair. She may have been one of those in the fringe group, albeit disguised. Okay, I think we should take a quick break. I've just discovered that this pencil holder top, which is like a Santa Claus figurine, can go inside my nostril. So that's something to do for the day. So we'll take a quick break and we'll come back in a second.
Namaskar, dear Bandhu. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. These are truly challenging times, and in these times, we need hope. Do take time to listen to my podcast, Begin the Journey. Available on IVM Podcasts, website, app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, there is hope because there's one life and we are alive.
We're back here for the 8th time and lots of points coming up. Shreyas is starved. He wants to make a point. Please talk.
I think just looking at what has happened with Agrima's joke and the reaction to that, I have realized that India as a country just doesn't deserve stand-up comedy. I think we are too fragile for stand-up comedy.
No. Quite the converse. It is where you feel oppressed, where you feel repressed, that's where your voice must be loudest. That's where your voice
must come out.
But I have a
solution. The thing is, it's too controversial. No matter what you say, people are going to get hurt. There will be violence. So the solution, I think, is that forget comedy clubs. You go to laughter clubs.
If you get emotional, we lose the battle. Don't get emotional with these guys. Find a way to hit them back. Find a way to be creative. Look at the great Soviet Union writers during the Brezhnev era and after that. I mean, they all wrote between the lines. You got to find a way. Even now, with Trump going crazy and, all kind of institutional revenge being taking place through governmental bureaus, etc., across the Western countries of the world, let me tell you, you still have to find some way. I think we should never think like that. I keep telling my friend Kunal the same thing. If you get emotional and upset, and you have every right to, it's not a look down when you do that. It's just that that's the way they win. Okay, because they bullied you and you've been bullied. But if you allow yourself to come back in a clinical manner, like Genghis Khan, our leader, and just quietly just destroy the entire village so the next village pays tribute and you don't have to fight again. It's very simple. We can do it. We just have to find ways to laugh.
You call Genghis Khan our leader. I think we are going to have the same problem that Agrima had very soon.
See, for the times, he was not more brutal than anybody else. You have to remember. But we won't waste time getting into those lectures. I'm only saying, look, because I'm slightly older than you, I can understand the anger that you feel. The zeal is much more than mine. I've been married and, right now I'm having problems having sex with myself also. So the whole perspectives change and you're less into the whole let's move and change the world. You're more into how do I survive till tomorrow. So that will happen anyway. Life sucks. You better start drugs now if you can get a good deal in Nagpur because Mumbai is too expensive. But I just think this is going to keep happening. India is not, perhaps the world is now becoming sort of, offense is just part of our normal daily life now. People taking offense, anyone without a job, anyone who's decided that he's got too much other irritations in his life, they take offense about everything. And nobody wants to have discourse in a civilized manner and banter and debate it and sledge each other as much as you want. That doesn't happen because that we are not evolved enough to ever do. So instead, you have to break chairs, chase people, abuse parents, dirty language, physical assault, and, go on strike and destroy people in the middle. Break a taxi while you're walking. What's he got to do? He's never gone to Habitat. That kind of thing. So
you're talking about cancel culture, right? In some ways, cancel culture was what the term is used right now. I mean, there was something which something happened last week, right? Which was like shocking in some ways. Steven Pinker is one of my favorite writers, non-fiction writer. He's written 2 books that I particularly agree, though he's gotten many more. But 2 books which I particularly write, right? One is Better Angels of Our Nature, which I think I've spoken to you about before, right? It's the one that empirically demonstrates how the world has gotten so much better over the last 500 years that, from a perspective.
Less conflict than you actually think.
Correct. And the other one is Enlightenment Now, which is talking about the importance of scientific discovery and stuff like that. That's also a fairly recent book. He got into trouble. So he's a linguist primarily, right? His main thing is a linguist. There was a letter written by some 40, 50 different linguistic students and different people who sent a letter to the Linguistics Association saying that Steven Pinker is considered to be one of our foremost spokespersons and we need to stop that because he is a racist, he is this, he is that. And then they put together this entire kind of list of things which was dubious and specious and but at the same time it got so much play. So many people were kind of talking about that. And it's like if somebody who is that accomplished, who is known for that degree of the quality of his argument is being put into the ringer over these kinds of things. It's insane to me. I think we've definitely gone too far on this.
Yeah, but it's like Mel Brooks said, people made fun of him and, Hitler was a terrible thing. Almost 6 million of our people died, plus all the other people who died, 20 million Russians, etc., etc. How can you just make fun of him? It's not a lighthearted thing. And his whole point was you take a monster, you make fun of him and you bring him down. That's how you bring him down. So that you can laugh at him. And he's no longer a monster after some time. He's just some nutcase who should never have walked the earth in the first place. So I have the same feeling. I think words are just fabulous. And with words, you can just win every battle. It sounds ridiculous now and because these guys do what they want.
I agree with you 100%.
But the more the words come out, they just look like what they are, which is just barbarians and out of sync with the times. So we will urinate on all the people of the world at one go.
So if I can quickly just wrap this up, Agrima is just such a brave and badass person. She basically gave two different versions of apologies. One was a written apology and one was a video apology. I don't know if any of you saw it, but both of them are basically trolling the right wing. So
That's the way to do it.
Exactly. So the apology in the written apology is riddled with spelling errors. Like apologizes, apologize. It's hilarious just to read it. She's like, I would never make fun of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj or something like that. It's hilarious. And then the video apology is in Shuddha Hindi, so these guys can understand it. And again, it's hilarious. So again, more power to Agrima, man.
Well, what did she say in the Hindi apology? The talking.
She like कृपया करके मैं क्षमा मांगती हूँ कि.
So they can't understand it. It's in such good Hindi that no one can understand it.
I think it's even more verbose than that. Like it's like really good Hindi that like none of the people who are complaining about it can understand.
Yeah. See, that's it. That's satire. That's what it's all about. More power to her.
No, I mean she's a hero. The way she has fought back and the way she has remained strong throughout this.
And in all this, where are all the Me Too people and all? Where have they gone? They've just disappeared. When a woman is being almost desecrated and violated in this way, where is everybody? That guy should be hung. According to Angry India, where right now you cannot go after Nirbhaya, you cannot even think of if you fight with your wife, they'll put me in for 2 weeks. It's like that, and then find out the truth.
The National Commission of Women did step in though. I think they were the ones who got him arrested.
No, I'm saying this guy, Sharma, whatever his name is, Shubham, whatever his name is, we should not even know his name. We just call him number 3. Number 3 should be just caught and given the full sentence and more. Because right now, we're living in a time where they're saying, you talk Black Lives Matter there, here it's all about female lives matter, right? After the Nirbhaya thing and what's happened in the last 10 years, from Jessica Lal onwards, I could feel that there's a sea change in the administration when it comes to, at least on the face of it, this is a politically correct way to do it. So let them do something.
Also, sorry, let me just correct myself. It was his name is Shubham Mishra, not Shubham Sharma. Shubham Mishra.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a huge
difference. Right now, my people are searching somewhere in UP for the wrong guy. If Vikas Dubey's name was, unfortunately, turned out he was Tiwari. He's the wrong guy.
We never even spoke about that, right? Yeah. That's a whole other Vikas Dubey, man.
We're still in the comedy spectrum, so
I guess.
Yeah. But what are the chances that the car is stopped at a roadblock? The other 3 cars are made to, wait for about 5 minutes, given headway. Then suddenly, achanak, as we say in Hindi, there are 5 buffaloes walking across, and you have to veer because you can't hit the holy cow, and the car turns turtle. He then escapes, and then is shot while fleeing in the chest from behind. 3 times in the chest and once in the shoulder from behind by the car that's coming from behind 5 minutes away. I think it's all true. I can't
all
argue
above board.
When you put this empirical data in front of me, I say case is dismissed. No question.
Add in the fact how he surrendered, right? I mean, like he surrendered in a super public place because he was clearly afraid of being.
And note the irony there. One of the world's greatest murderers of all time, with lots of hits, is at Ujjain in one of our most revered temples. So the holiness and godlike presence of this murderer in the temple is where he makes his final move. This is the theater of the absurd that we should just embrace and say humanity is the most funny species ever. No animal would do that. They would never do that. They would just attack you. They wouldn't go for all the theater.
It's just the way we glorify cops and the way we really celebrate cops taking law into their own hands.
Absolutely.
And encountering. We have just watched so many movies about it and we trust the cops so much. Like police brutality. When we see police brutality, we are like, I probably deserved it. Or it's funny. It's like a WhatsApp video. And it's not like a video that anyone should be concerned about. So I think the whole attitude towards how cops operate in this country should be
the cops of India, forget Maharashtra police or Tamil Nadu police who are getting whatever, or Haryana police, all the cops of India have now tasted power. We have backed off as a society. They have stood there with their sticks and screamed at people and they've tasted power and they've liked it. It's not a good thing. You don't do that. When you feed your animals raw meat, you encourage them to be more aggressive and then, this is exactly what we're doing. Aggression for the male is a very simple go-to place. It's taken us 1,000 years to remove that aggression. Hence, when you come to the gym, you'll see the urban male doing fuck all. But that's another story. But, I think this is not going to come back to bite us because the governments know, both state and central, that this is an easy populace to bully. All we do is take our stick out, tell them go in, and like herd, you push the cattle in, you lock the thing, and you go off. And that's it. I'm not a fan of all this, man. I'm really not a fan of all. Let's start a revolution, Shreyas. You got people?
Let's abolish the police. I think let's do it right now. How do we start a revolution on Zoom? I don't know.
Look, my timings are very clear. I don't work after lunch. So we have to reach Delhi by 12:30. Then we go to Jama Masjid area because I love the biryani there. We take a break, we nap, and at 4:30 we resume. Delhi bahut dur hai. That's our call.
Okay.
I'm a bit scared.
Why can't we
about that.
cancel the police? Why can't we bring cancel culture here?
I think Amit discussed all that, but God, if we could just learn how to be better people, the police serve a purpose. I have no problem. But why can't the guy at the Nakabandi say hello with a smile? Why can't you talk civilly? Why can't he tell Antariksh when he's walking around, ki beta, careful, because the bimari fell yahan pe, or whatever. Why do they go in that direction? Why do they say, hey, kahan se aa gaya? Hey, license dikhao. Hey, why? It begins from there. You see, the attitude has to change, the shift. A shift across India, and not just the police, every authority figure has got to be more egalitarian and humane.
So there's a body of work around this, right? Basically, having to do with authority figures. Do they see themselves as public servants, or do they see the public as their servants, right? And there's a whole body of study around this. I can't remember what it's called exactly.
Why should it be one or the other in any case?
Well, no,
if you're
because
functioning as a goods and services business in a society, why can't it be purely again clinical? I help you, you help me. That's it.
Yeah. It should be. It should be, right? I mean, like, but it should be something where you're there. The idea here is you're here to serve the public. You're here to serve public interest. You're not here to control the public, right? And I think that's the big.
In the IPS, Amit, the word seva is very clearly written. And if even an idiot like me, whose Hindi is like as bad as it can get, knows that the word seva is a positive word. You have to help. You have to care for your samaj ka seva. That's what it's all about. So you have to help first. The idea is help people. Not that stick is only as a last resort.
Right.
For Vikas Dubey, they have to take the stick out, but not for everybody else. And I don't know, man. This is not good. This COVID has allowed people to behave like tyrants and all. It's just not good at all. Starting from watchmen, everybody's misbehaving.
Yeah.
I mean, and as urban youth, I can write a book about it. It's a class issue, of course. You fight with cabbies, and I'm sure these guys, the next generation, Shreyas, and that's why I really empathize with them when they tell me all this, because nothing is fucking changed. You're wearing jeans, you're the westernized kid, long hair, young Virat Kohli thinks he's the hero of the whatever. In their eyes, they've got so many complexes and problems, and then it starts from there. So the watchman, the taxi driver you fight with, the rickshaw driver you fight with, the guy who stops you parking the car you fight with, that elderly uncle in the building who hates young people you fight with. I mean, and then police you fight with. Who's left? Oh, thank God you've got fringe political groups who can't win any election, but they can beat everybody up. So, you got that as well. So shall we call the British back? I can make the call. Boris? Boris, kya che tu? Huh? Avich? Okay, not now. He'll call me back. Boris. All right.
Can we end on a slightly funny topic?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys heard this story.
This was a disaster then.
I'm just saying we got a little serious.
Fucking comedians just stabbing each other. I feel like Caesar with the senators. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys read about this. This was making the rounds. This video. Spat between couple brings pets to traffic.
Wow! This
is hilarious.
Beautiful story. I wish we could
Beautiful story.
It's not alive.
So I'll just read it through. This man and a woman were traveling in black Range Rover down Peddar Road, and suddenly the man's wife, who was following him in another car,
in a white
stepped
car.
in front of his car,
and
blocked the path. And traffic police in the video are just around doing nothing.
Listen, Silverie, did you see the video?
Yeah,
she climbed onto the bonnet.
Onto the bonnet.
And smacked the thing to break the glass. Then she came onto the side window, the driver's side, and told him, get out of the car now. It was like a Delhi battle. It was like two boys in Delhi. It was fabulous. And it's all because he was having an affair, apparently. But here's the crux of the issue. Because we are so bored, my wife and Kunal send me this video somewhere in the day whenever it broke. I go up for dinner. My mother shows me the video and says, do you know who this person is? Somebody Agarwal. You have a lot of Agarwal friends. My wife said, Mom, you're 79 years old and you're like a gossipy auntie. I have Agarwal friends. So now that's more important than COVID. It was good. It was like a breath of fresh air away from the doom and gloom. Now let's target who's the fallen person in society, who's having the affair, his wife is misbehaving. But the crux of the matter brings us back to Shreyas' point. She was issued a challan by the traffic cop. Now, I'm not saying that what she did was right, but couldn't you have handled it a little better? You can see she's
actually, Cyrus, when I saw the video, my first reaction is go to the side and argue.
Yeah,
that was my first reaction when I saw that video.
Some sensitivity to issue with someone who's heightened it's like a suicide case or something. I mean, you can't. That's normal people at normal time. When someone has completely lost their mind, you've got to be a little sensitive, at least initially, I think. And I think if they were trained properly, the idea would be to talk to her, to get her to come to the side, to take the business to the side, as you said, and make it more private, etc. But instead, they were trying to berate her. Of course, I don't blame them because they have no training in how to. Who the hell is trained on how to deal with a mad, irate wife? For God's
No, but
sake,
I don't.
what power
So
is love in that?
I saw two of these videos, and I did not see the cops push her in any way
No
whatsoever.
pushing. But the challan was issued and all that. I'm saying.
Well, Challan was issued fine, but I mean, like the cops were actually kind of just letting her do her thing and trying to move the
That's
traffic
because
around
they
it.
have their own wives, and in case
Yeah.
one of them was having an affair, he must be shitting bricks. Can you imagine? Yeah, but it was sad to say, but it was a breath of fresh air for all of us, I think in South Mumbai especially, because the
Yeah.
whole idea of us dirty bastards is to find out who it is and bring them down in our eyes, the crab mentality. So who is this? Like my own mother. Suddenly we're back on like a big boss sort of society, like, oh, who's that? Your friend. It's got to be my friend. God, it's ridiculous. But guys, as men, for a second, just imagine if you were that guy. I mean, it's like your worst nightmare. Really, it's absolutely. And it's in public, it's short, it's going to be passed around. From being the stud, you're the guy, but all the women will be looking at him, that's for sure. He's going to get a lot of points for that. Wink, wink. So do you know who he is, Amit?
So I know who he is. I'm not going to name his name, but I do know who he is.
What's the backstory?
His kids go to school with a friend of mine's kids.
What's the backstory?
Nothing. It's just it's exactly what it was, right? He was having an affair with somebody. His wife caught him.
Was she in the car? The affair?
Yeah, she was in the car.
Oh, that's why it made sense.
That's why. Yeah,
she was trying to bang the thing. She was trying to hit her, I think.
Yeah.
So he was on the driver's seat, so she would have been trying to get him out of the car only.
I don't know, but I think it was a Land Rover, right? I mean,
yeah, Range Rover. Correct,
So it was a Range Rover.
They should give him a endorsement deal. Land Rover, we can survive. All the other cars are showing you terrain back in Northeast and Himalayas and Nepal and all. We'll show you just Peddar Road, mad, crazy, irate wife. Tak, tak, tak. Land Rover, keeping families apart. I'm in like Flint for that. Yeah, I hope we get a deal. Okay, what else? Quick, it's nearly 11.
No, I think let's go to the AMAs.
AMAs, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as I'm sure you know by now. I would like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money and Intel. They've been extraordinary sponsors and we couldn't appreciate them more. It's been a really, really cool week on the network. We've had Ashwin Sanghi on Cyrus Says. We had Masaba Gupta on Advertising is Dead. You should definitely check out Vivek Lath, who showed up on Storytellers and Story Sellers. A close friend and partner of ours, Karthik Paricha, was on the Pragati podcast talking about the future of podcasting, which I think is really, really interesting. And I would like to ask people to check out All Things Policy and what they've been doing. They've been having some really interesting discussions about India's challenging relationship with China as we go forward. And I think that would be a great thing for you guys to check out. So with that, let's get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
All right. The first question comes in from Anmol Malik. He says, "Hello Cyrus, Amit, Silverie and guest. First of all,
Malik, the singer?
Anmol Malik.
Anmol. Okay.
Yeah. He says, "Hello Cyrus, Amit, Silverie and guest. First of all, Cyrus, you and Amit have amazing chemistry. Get into the question. How do you get rid of..."
How is that positive? How is that a nice thing to say? Oh man. Go on.
Okay. So get into the question. How do you get rid of anxiety? I'm waking up at 6 a.m. and still feel like I wasted the day. What do you think? How do you get rid of anxiety?
Me, I'm a creature of habit. So anxiety only happens if the habit is broken. So I get up early and do the same things. I go walk the dogs, go up to the gym that I put on the terrace, etc., etc. But if I don't do that, the days I have to take off occasionally or whatever, then I start going around like a headless chicken. So I think people who have strong habits should be okay if they can exercise those same habits, whatever they are. And that includes just going on the comp early morning. But that's how you do. Your body sort of reacts nicely to a certain routine. If that routine continues, it helps your mind sort of relax. If you don't have that routine, I think sometimes if you don't have much to do and there's no challenges in your life, then just, it's a recipe for disaster, because that's when the depression, frustration, anger all seeps in. Dr. Cyrus here, always keen to help Amol. Anmol. And Amol.
That was a good answer, I think.
Yeah. No, but that's me. But what about others? Shreyas, how do you cope? You started running in the morning, so you keep a little routine?
Yeah. I mean, I say I'm going for running. That's what I say. That's on paper. That's what I'm going to do. But I think, running really helps. And for me, I think whenever I'm anxious, I try to get it out on the page. Like, I think the best writing is done when you are anxious, when you have like something to just like project out. So I think I miss days when I'm not anxious, because then like I'm not driven, I'm not motivated to write or create. So
why did you write a monologue from the point of view of one of the marauders at Habitat? You know, where he's speaking his thoughts aloud to, my parents must be so proud of me today. I broke a chair. I almost remember the girl's name. It starts with A, who I went to attack. Those kind of things. Maybe that'll be fun. That's what we should put on air. Yeah. Thoughts of a philosopher king and murderer, rapist, molester, whatever his name is attached. Guys, what about you, Amit? Silverie? How do you cope?
I don't know. I just basically, I think when I'm feeling anxious, I read or I look out the window or,
okay, here's my thought, Amit.
Or something like that.
Oh, no, I think it's all bull, Amit. Thank you for wasting my time.
Thank you.
I think in your case, as an entrepreneur who's struggling to put together the outfit, your investments, your thing and all that, that's a good thing. It's a good thing because the challenges are there in your life and they remain there and you're trying to cope with them.
Yeah.
The really bad thing is for the person who doesn't have those challenges. They're the ones who suffer the most. You take away the challenge because perhaps they're not the earning member of the family. Perhaps, so they have nothing else to do then.
I wouldn't mind a few less challenges in life.
No.
I'm okay with a little less.
I've studied this because I'm an animal lover. You need a certain amount of stress to survive.
A certain amount.
Yeah, but come on now. Obviously, you don't want to be... But trust me, it's better to be stressed and fighting to survive than to be not. Because that's when you just... What do you do? You got no meaning in your life. You just disappear.
Yeah, of course.
I'm worried for Silverie.
Without pushing on stuff, you're right. There's no kind of sense of doing anything, right? So I agree with that. But I mean, it does. Anxiety does kind of become a real thing, right? At some point in time when you're worried about a lot of stuff. At which point the things that do kind of work are just relax, chill, kind of stop thinking. Those are things that work.
That's what so I when I'm feeling anxious, I just go to sleep because I love sleeping. It calms me down. I run away from my problems. Sleep. Good thing.
Oh, banjo, मैं तो सो जाता हूँ. I don't care about this, यार. दो पेग पिला दो. Oh, Manoj, give me one, यार. I like it. Simple and straightforward. Fair enough. Yeah. But that means you don't carry stress. The guys who can sleep, like my friend Nikhil Chinappa, we used to travel together. He would fall asleep mid-sentence. So we'd be sitting in the car, driving, say, deep into outside Delhi or whatever. And I'd be like, Nikhil, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And boom, gone. Just in one sentence, gone. Amazing. And then wake up and carry on like normal. So there are people who have that gift. I think those who can sleep well, great. Wow.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic skill to have. Just fall asleep anywhere.
Anywhere. All right, I can see 4 dull people at the end of it.
Okay. Next question. Let's move on to the next one. This one comes in from Nihar Mehta. He asks, Hi Cyrus, I'm originally from Mumbai, currently living in the US. For years, I have noticed that the suburbs of Mumbai are referred to as derogatorily. Even in comedy at times, stand-up comics resort to North Mumbai for punchlines. Since I grew up in suburbs, I never understood why does South of Mumbai snobbishly look down upon suburbs.
It's one
Even after studying in Jai Hind for 3 years and the Institute of Science for 2 years, I have failed to understand this. Do you have a take?
You see, Sapan Verma was one of those guys that I've seen at least, who does this whole take about moving from South to back in the burbs. But I think, Amit, I don't know if you agree with me, it's a one-way thing, right? We have issues with anybody outside South Mumbai.
No, I think it's the opposite.
No, we do. We are the imperialists. We're the Brits. We're the ones who look down on everybody else.
I think that was then and this is now. I think now at this point in time, we are constantly mocked for being elitist, for using like the words bro every other word in the sentence.
Bro is passe, it's bruv.
But that's what I'm saying. I fall into a lot of categories, I guess, in terms of where things that people make fun of online. I'm bald, I'm overweight, I am a Gujarati, I look like Amit Shah. But the only times I feel the most...
You've taken away a monologue. You've got nothing left.
But the most attacked I ever feel online is about the fact that I live in South Bombay. I feel attacked, I feel personally attacked constantly over that stuff, right? That because it's just like South Bombay guys, they're like this, they do this, they're all about this, they're all, I feel like that's their so
Can I tell you, Amit, you're frozen.
No, you're frozen.
They've all gone.
Classic South Bombay attitude. The problem is with his connection and he thinks everyone else has the problem.
Come back, boys. You say because I'm from South Bombay, you just disappear on me.
No, we're just here. And Shreyas made the best joke on you while you were not there.
I didn't hear it. Oh, damn.
This is why I feel attacked. Say it again and I'll show you. You'll see why I feel attacked.
The joke was that this is classic South Bombay attitude. There's something wrong with your connection and you think it's everyone else.
But listen, back in the early MTV days, I used to actually be ashamed of being from South Mumbai because there was nobody. So to drive back and all that was very difficult for me because everything was that side of town. So I generally used to just, when they asked me where you from, I would just say Haji Ali and places like that because I couldn't say Malabar Hill. It just sounded rich, elitist, and like a big mansion and swimming pool, which it wasn't. But that's how it sounds.
You're so oppressed, Cyrus. I can't even imagine how that might have been. That you can't say you're from Malabar Hill. I sympathize so much.
So I got less money in terms of conveyance because I lied about my journey back. So I cheated my own self because of the complex. So yes, I was in.
I used to use the words townie. Where do you live? I live in town. Or I started using I started saying tin batti because tin batti sounds nice and
And they don't know, and they don't know. So you're safe.
But if you know, you know, right? If you know if you know the area, you know what tin batti is, right? If you know the south part of the city, you know what tin batti is. But if you don't know, it's fine. It just sounds like something.
So now
I also think this guy who posed the question, he's living in the US. Why the fuck is he still worried about what people from the suburbs think about people from South Bombay?
It's nationalism.
He
nationalism for the place of birth, that small region where you come from.
Yeah. But he's the opposite, right? He's worried about what people from South Bombay are saying about like people from the suburbs. I don't think anybody mocks the suburbs at this point. I mean, like it's stupid to do so. I mean, like the city is, most of the city is there.
But one thing, Amit, one thing would be fair. If when you enter South Bombay, when you cross from Bandra to Worli, you should pay more money than when you cross from Worli to Bandra.
I agree with that.
Just that one, I'll leave you with that tone. But other
I would say that they should put a toll naka in Khar, right? Put a toll naka in Khar and then basically make people coming from north of Khar pay a higher toll than people coming from south of Khar. That will reduce the traffic that I face on my way to office.
And I would like a toll naka at Mud Island, so that the cheaper actors and performers like myself aren't made to go there to shoot all the time. Because I hate that. Every time, sir, budget kam hai, to hum Mud Island mein studio liya, but it's very big. What's the point?
I would also like a Naka outside habitat so that people who are coming there with violent intentions are not allowed to let in.
Yeah. But you write it in English so that they can still. Huh? You elitist bastards. Sorry, I didn't mean that. I'm wrapping it up. My daughter's saying, wrap it up. I have to go back to class. Which is what we were talking about, the class divide. So last question, quickly.
Okay, last question comes in from Karan. His spelling is K-A-R-A-N. So Karan Mehrotra. Karan Mehrotra asks, hello Cyrus, Silverie, Amit and guest. This is Karan from Minneapolis. My question is, do you think the Vivek...
very common name there. Yeah.
My question is, do you think the Vivek Dubey encounter episode will be made into a Netflix or Amazon Prime original show? I think the story behind the entire episode is very funny and kind of stereotypical and similar to what we have seen in many Bollywood movies. What do you think?
So the problem with it to be made into a fictional story, and I thought about it, right? I think it makes a wonderful podcast. Right. I think it makes an interesting documentary, but I don't think it gets fictionalized because the problem with fictionalizing it is who's your hero here? Vikas Dubey is one of the nastiest people ever.
Yeah. But Amit, no one has gone on record to say that killing him was not the. No one has really gone that way. Yeah. What they've said is the secrets that he has, which he had, the nexus that he knew about, which there was, which goes all the way to Delhi, maybe to Maharashtra. We have no idea how many politicians are involved in all these things that happen in terms of land deals, etc. So that definitely needed the guy to be alive if you wanted to trace it. So it's very convenient that police officials, ministers, bureaucrats, maybe judges, we don't know, all kinds of people have been protected by this one accident because of cows crossing the road.
Right.
I don't know.
No, but having said that, I mean, like, it's still not an interesting movie, right? It's not an interesting TV show.
Yeah, you don't want to glamorize him. He's not quite Billy the Kid. He's much worse.
No, he's just not a sympathetic character, right? I mean, like, he's not. Yeah. Neither are the cops.
Yeah, his own father had nothing nice to say about him. I guess he went on his mother. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I apologize.
But no. So who do you say? Who do you turn into the hero of a story like this, right? So I mean, like, I can't see
the hero of the story is the guy driving the thing who saved the cow. He turned the car and he missed. And then he stayed there. Also, those 4 policemen who got injured, it's not quite clear what injury. There was one guy with a nose cut and they had a band-aid on the nose, which I thought was like very odd.
But it's visible now on the camera.
Sorry?
It was visible on camera.
It was visible on camera, but how did he injure just that bit?
It's visible on camera, dude.
Okay, but was it a zit? I mean, technically also an injury. In high-income countries like Scandinavia and all that, I suppose a zit is a huge issue. God, a guy in our village has a zit. Call, everybody, But yeah, you're right. Glamorizing this guy won't be easy. Who will play Vikas Dubey? Who do you think, if you had to, this is a tough one. Come on, boys.
Absolutely no idea.
Who do you cast as Mr. Dubey?
I can't even think of
Silverie? Shreyas, come on.
I mean, the most stereotypical answer is Nawaz. You just use Nawaz.
Oh, shit!
For everything.
When in doubt, just call him. Nawaz और कोई नहीं था तो आप free हैं तो. Wow, good answer. Shreyas?
I'm thinking. Which actor looks like he's a cop killer?
Okay, careful.
Nawaz only. Sorry.
That's it. He'll never come on the podcast.
Can I talk about this conspiracy theory that I heard about Leelavati Hospital and Amitabh Bachchan?
Okay.
What?
Very quickly, come on.
So the conspiracy is that Amitabh actually doesn't have corona, and I mean, Leelavati Hospital had a couple of cases where there were no beds allowed and they got a lot of bad publicity and they just wanted to rewash it, and hence this was all made up, is what I heard.
So it's Nanavati Hospital and it's...
I'll end on a very happy note for all of you all. See, it's all about newsworthy stories and we can talk about that all day. Bachchan's COVID or no COVID, newsworthy. Anupam Kher, 5 family members, newsworthy, I'm okay. But when you come to me and say Rekha's watchman may have COVID, I'm drawing the line. She doesn't know who that watchman is. She's never met him. She won't identify him in a lineup. He's a guy who stands outside for a few hours and, wears the same uniform as everybody else who stands outside. So what the hell does that mean? Where does it end? Rekha's sari torn. Rekha's shoe changes color. I mean, come on. So we got to draw the line somewhere. That was too much. And it's all in the same story, by the way. It's like Bollywood COVID numbers. So once they start going to the watchman outside, I mean, the Kalakatawala's cousin in Panipat has also got it, but, we're not sure. I see I've lost my audience, so we might as well end it. You guys are lovely. Shreyas, thank you for being on Cock and Bull. This has been a pleasure for God knows whom, but not any of us. Hope you and the girl on the steps and the uncle who stops you have a good time. I won't call it a threesome. Even in third world countries, that should not be allowed. But I hope to see you in Mumbai soon, and I hope we do that Amazon show. I hope it happens.
Absolutely, we'll do it. Thanks so much for having me. I'm sorry for that last tangent. I just had to get it out.
What tangent? What was that last?
This entire show has been nothing but tangents. That's what we are.
You don't understand. But we're all sexually frustrated. We were counting on you for some good stories. Oh, sorry, not all. Because quietly in the corner, with a big smile, who just falls asleep under stress. Probably, every time he comes, he falls asleep immediately, I'm sure. No denial. All right. See you guys very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you. We need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Are you constantly seeking happiness? Wondering how to make the most of every day? How not to let your inhibitions stop you from achieving your goals? It's now time to get your A-game on. It's time to unlock your true potential. Tune in to the Empowering series with me, Zarina Poonawalla, to feel empowered in all genres of life. From behavioral skills to management skills. From health to relationships. From mental well-being to emotional well-being. And of course, your finances. I've got you covered. With these tips and tricks from me, Zarina, and true life stories from my amazing guests, you're bound to bring your purest to the table. Tune in to the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello, everybody. We have a brand new daily podcast we're working on with Bloomberg Quint. All you need to know provides the top news on business, markets, and the economy so that you can stay ahead of the curve. Tune in every morning on BloombergQuint.com, the IVM Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcast from.